Hi guys, my name is Diane Sanabria and I'm from Park Slope Christian Tabernacle, and today I just wanted to give you some words of encouragement. During this time, I think it's important that as a body we get together and we just kind of share what God is placing on our hearts. And so this is something that God has been placing on my heart during this season, and I hope it blesses you. When I was a kid, I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the Air Force and my brother joined the Navy and went to the Naval Academy when I was about 11 years old. And one of the things that I loved about the Navy, this might sound silly, is their symbol of an anchor. And I love everything about the idea of an anchor. I love the way it looks. I love its shape. I love what it's used for. And so when I think about this anchor and how it's used in the Bible, I'm immediately brought to Hebrews chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. And those words say that we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain where Jesus, who went before us, has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Now, the Bible tells us that we have this hope. And during this time, I think it's really easy for us to look for hope. We look for it in different places. We look for it sometimes in people. We look for it in a news brief that comes up. We're looking to find some type of hope, something to hold on to, so that we could be able to build our faith. But the Bible already tells us that we have it, that we have this hope. And we spend a lot of time looking for hope, and we spend a lot of time running towards it in whatever direction that we can find it in. But the Bible again tells us that we already have this hope. And this hope is an anchor to our soul. It's not an anchor to the waves that it penetrates, or in our life, the uncertainties that we have. The anchor is a weight, and it penetrates into our soul. That's what the word says, firm and secure. I was looking up the definition of an anchor, and that seems a little cliche, but there was something really cool that I had noticed. It says that an anchor is a device that's attached to a ship or a boat, casted overboard to hold it in place. Another definition says that it's a reliable or a principal support, meaning a main support for something. Another definition is that an anchor is something that serves to hold an object firmly. And that's something that the word says. And the fourth definition that was interesting to me is that hope comes in this form of an anchor as the member of a team that competes last. Isn't that interesting? Competing last is what an anchor is in a sports team. And I think about relay races and two-legged races and stuff like that. And when a team builds up their anchor, it's the team that's the strongest that finishes last so that their best effort goes forward. Kind of like Jesus was the last person in the boat to be told that there was a storm. He already knew, but he was the anchor for that ship on that day. The second part of the verse talks about how this hope enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. And this represents how hope allows us to enter into God's presence, which is the Holy of Holies, and a place that he already is there. Hope makes a way for a time in his presence. And hope makes a way for us to give praise. In biblical times, the Holy of Holies was the place where the high priest would go. And even the high priest, when they would go into this Holy of Holies, they would go in with uncertainties. They would have to do these rituals. They would have to dress in certain ways. They would attach things to their bodies, and they would go in not knowing whether they would come out. But in this verse, when it says that hope allows us to enter the inner sanctuary and that it goes behind the curtain, it means that now we have this hope because Jesus made a way. We have this hope because He brings us right into his presence. We don't have to worry about whether we're going to make it in or make it out. If we flip to the back, we've already won because he's won. So when we think about this hope and we think about being able to be in his presence, it's all because he made a way through his sacrifice. You know, earlier in Hebrews, in chapter 4, verse 16, it says, "Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." How many of you know that this is our time of need? We're in a place where we need to hold on to hope, but we have access now. We have access to this otherwise long time ago non-accessible place because of this hope. This hope is Jesus, and he's waiting to welcome us. So would you today place your hope in the anchor of Christ? Would you remember that it is for our soul to keep us firm and secure? God bless you, church.